Not every fishing trip meets expectations. Sometimes people catch things that make them reach for a sedative. You are on the Top Facts channel, and we will show you incredible creatures. A fish with 2 mouths, one with 3 eyes, and an unidentifiable creature that was swimming in a city park lagoon. If you are ready to be amazed to the core, let's start watching. A strong pull on the fishing line signals an upcoming battle with a heavy giant. This time, the other end revealed an unusual catfish. It was very large, but its paleness indicated it was an albino, making it more visible in the water and vulnerable to predators. However, its size was also quite impressive, a full 2.4 meters in length. It's unlikely anyone would dare to attack such a massive creature. Of course, it was a shame to leave such a remarkable fish, but the person decided that video evidence was enough and released the catfish back into the water. A fishing expedition in Mexico turned into an astonishing discovery, one to remember for a lifetime. The fishermen noticed a massive body in the water, resembling a large marine animal, but they were simply stunned to discover that it was the carcass of a whale with 2 heads. Experts were called in to investigate, and they were equally baffled. According to marine biologists, this never-before-seen creature could have been the victim of a developmental pathology. In humans, such cases are known as conjoined twins. And another strange thing, this species of whale had never been seen in Mexico before. The bodies of the whale twins were joined in the middle. They had 2 pectoral fins each and 2 separate tails. This means they didn't fully separate during the embryonic development stage. Specialists decided to bury the body and wait until the skeleton could be used for further research. Fishing has never been a harmless sport, and some fish, even deprived of water, do not lose their dangerous skills. So first, you need to carefully check what kind of catch has taken your bait and whether the story might flip on you. Let's start with cases where the fish practically come to the angler's hands themselves. Sometimes, an angler doesn't need gear, just agility. This guy became a star of his documentary show. He emerged with a large, tasty fish that he caught with his bare hands. The sucker catfish, which lives at the bottom and is rather slow, was pulled out of the water, but it did not want to give up. And when a spiky large fish wriggles in your hands, you can injure your hands on its sharp fins. If you've ever held a raw fish in your hands, you'll understand what I mean. This diver also easily found his catch. Here, the main pride is being able to hold on to the catch in your hands. Fishing sometimes turns into a tug-of-war with a pesky creature 10 times smaller than you, but 100 times more persistent. A fisherman was pulling in a decent catch when he suddenly noticed it wasn't coming out alone, but with a hitchhiker, a small, black, wriggling animal. It was a river otter clinging to the fish, evidently considering the catch its own. How amusing that it could have eaten a fish its own size. And what's most surprising is that the otter refused to let go of its prize until the very last moment. Anything can get caught in a fishing net, not always as ordered, and the bigger the catch, the harder it is to pull it on board. This time the catch was a giant that no one recognized. A creature with white and yellow patterns on thick skin, moving too slowly to be a fish. It was clearly some sort of aquatic giant, but the question was, what kind? If you know the answer, please write to us in the comments. Don't be shy. A group of fishermen on Bimini Island, Bahamas, got an unpleasant surprise. They caught a large red snapper, but something wasn't right. The fish, once out of the water, seemed to be vomiting. Some sort of bubble was sticking out of its mouth. Not a very pleasant sight, is it? Especially if you don't understand what it is. So experts clarified, the snapper was suffering from a swim bladder disorder. When gas doesn't escape quickly enough, it starts to push other organs outward, so that bubble is the fish's stomach turned inside out. But otherwise, dear viewers, all is well and the fish is edible. While fishing off the coast of Louisiana, a boat was attacked by a large white shark. It decided to rob the fishermen while they were lifting their lucky catch out of the water. In a flash, half of the fish was gone to the shark. But the shocked fishermen were even more surprised when they lifted the fish, or rather half of it, onto the boat. It was still alive, with the bait still stuck in it. Now it had become bait itself. The torn-up carcass was set aside for the next round. This is not the only time sharks have pirated someone else's catch. Here's another group of fishermen who caught something phenomenal. Before they pulled their trophy out of the water, they had a long struggle from the moment the line first tugged. The fish turned out to be astonishingly resilient, but when they finally hauled the catch onto the boat, they couldn't believe their eyes. Dangling from the hook was a hammerhead shark, almost entirely eaten by another predator. Sharks are incredibly smart and understand that prey already on the hook is the easiest to grab, so without effort and competition, you won't catch a fish even from a pond, let alone the ocean. Here's another case of robbery on a fishing trip. Although I think some enthusiasts go to the ocean not for the fish, but for the spectacle. A man cast his line into the water, and when he felt a strong pull, he realized that there was some serious resistance on the other end. And just when the fisherman thought he had won, a bold shark stole their catch right off the line. For the shark, biting through fishing gear is a piece of cake. So the pair decided to end their fishing trip for the day. The shark seemed to have let them know it was time to call it a day. Sometimes, on a fishing trip, you have to compete not only with sharks, but also with crocodiles. This adventurous outing on a small boat took a terrifying turn when a hungry crocodile suddenly appeared among the calm river waves. The men noticed the movement in the water, heading straight for them before they even had time to reel in their first catch. And within seconds, the dangerous jaws snapped very close. Although the guy successfully pulled in the fish, the close call surely sent shivers down his spine. The crocodile circled around them, waiting for another chance, but soon left the fishermen. I think it gave them quite a scare that day. From a distance, it might look like the boat is surrounded by a swarm of moths, but in fact, these are thousands of tiny fish. Chinese fishermen hit the jackpot. They didn't just find the perfect moment, but they made the schools of fish literally jump into their nets. Special techniques make the fishing process easier because the key to any endeavor is efficiency. The Chinese have surely cracked nature's code, allowing them to catch all the fish at once. Now we will marvel at the diversity of nature. Some fish are blessed with beauty, while others are the opposite. It's unknown who has an easier life. The reflective coloration of these fish helps them blend with the shimmering ocean waters. It's a clever form of natural camouflage. These extraordinary fluorescent fish live in the shallow waters of the Atlantic. Ever wonder how they glow like that? The answer is that their skin contains crystals that act as camouflage when they need to become a shadow. But in the light, they shine brightly, just like the ripples of sunlight. In Australian waters, there are plenty of large fish, and in one session, these guys caught two amazing giants. The first was a blue-eyed trevally caught at a depth of half a kilometer. Its huge, bulging eyes were surprising. They looked like doll eyes, rotating like they were on hinges. And on the second try, they caught a giant pink shovel-nose fish. This fish has developed remarkable features that help it thrive in South America. The pacu fish lives in the Amazon basin, and with its toothy grin, it can be compared to the nutcracker from fairy tales. They are often mistaken for piranhas, but these fish are known for their distinctive teeth. Take a look at how similar they are to human teeth. They even have a sharp edge like a built-in razor. If you ask why they have such dangerous teeth, I would say they really do crack nuts. Yes, these fish primarily eat nuts and fruits. A strange diet for such a fierce appearance, right? These fish can grow up to 1 meter, but they are more herbivorous than predatory. There's a spicy detail. Pacu fish have shown an interest in a certain part of the male anatomy. Yes, they are nicknamed nutcrackers for a reason, so if you ever decide to swim in the waters of the Amazon, protect your family jewels. Scientists explored the deep zones of the ocean off the eastern coast of Australia and made some amazing discoveries. Among them was an unusual faceless fish. It's funny. We usually rely on faces for identification, But with this creature, there's literally nothing to grab onto. No eyes, no mouth. These eels grow up to 46 centimeters long and live at depths of 3,000 to 5,000 meters. In fact, they do have tiny eyes and a barely discernible mouth. It's not an anomaly, but overall they resemble otherworldly creatures. Here's a fish with a face, but you'll say, better without one than with this. Russian fisherman Roman Petrov loves to collect all sorts of oddities from different seas. Here, for example, is his find during a fishing trip in the Norwegian Sea. An unknown fish with bulging eyes looks like an alien from hell or the victim of a botched plastic surgery. Roman has gathered a large collection of remarkable sea creatures, but this specimen caused a real stir on the internet. Unfortunately, it remains unnamed, but perhaps you know this species or have caught something similar. Please write to us in the comments. Let's move on. This is amusing. A strange resident was discovered in a pond with carp, easily distinguishable among the other fish. Have you ever seen a fish with a cat's face? It seems cute and funny, but if you look closely, the resemblance is an illusion, a trick of visual perception. It's just a psychological phenomenon that makes people see familiar patterns in random objects. The cat face effect is produced by the fish's nostrils. This clip, posted in 2016, caught people's attention online. A group of friends was fishing in a canal in Brooklyn, a suburb of New York. Not the most eco-friendly place for fishing, and they ended up catching a mutant fish. Another three-eyed fish was caught in 2011 in Argentina near a nuclear power plant. If you're paying close attention, you know what I'm talking about. When animals turn into freaks, it's likely that the water in which they grew up was polluted with nuclear waste or some other nastiness. What you see in this guy's hands is not a stick and not a flute, though it's also called a cornet fish. This amazing creature, a very thin fish with a long snout and red spots on its body, really does resemble a wind instrument. Perhaps when it swims, it looks more intimidating. It could be mistaken for a sea snake. In December 2020, a fisherman on Krabi Island in Thailand was shocked by a strange fish. In all his experience, he had never encountered such a scarecrow. The fish, looking like a rock or leaves, was swimming in the murky water near the shore. Look at this. It has a face that resembles an angry old man or, well, a horror movie character. Exactly, I figured out who it resembles. Freddy Krueger. The man took his find home to show off, but the villagers were horrified. A good job for scaring kids. By the way, if you know what this character is called, please write the name of the fish in the comments. Some deep-sea fish seem to have adopted human traits. They have noses, lips, and even legs. Fishermen on a Paradise Caribbean island pulled out an extremely peculiar creature from the water. They didn't know what they were looking at because it was hard to call it a fish. The superstitious locals even started linking the creature to aliens, but let's ask the experts first. As soon as the video hit the internet, users quickly identified the creature. It's a red-lipped batfish, a very unusual creature that can only be found in the waters around the Galapagos Islands. So for most people on Earth, it's a rare curiosity. A small yet very bright orange parrotfish became the catch of a group of fishermen. It seems they casually caught two specimens right from the river. Don't be alarmed by the huge bump on its head. It's intentional. It's one of the differences between males and females. The guys were thrilled with the unusual catch and decided to take the fish with them. But something bad happened to one of the fish while it was waiting with the others. It seems it was attacked by a red-tail catfish. So, the parrotfish are unlikely to swim peacefully together in a pool. You've probably heard of the bluebird of happiness, but what would you say if you came across a completely blue fish? A group of fishermen was floating down the river in Gaston County, North Carolina, when a bright spot caught their attention. Lying on the water was a fluorescent blue fish. The color was so unusual that there wasn't even a guess as to what it was. Was it a mutation or a new species? Unknown, the fish was quite large, measuring about 120 centimeters in length and weighing in at 13 kilograms. However, there are no blue carp, and even rainbow trout doesn't fit. There aren't many fish with unusual genetics in these rivers. Could it have been a mystical phenomenon, or a regrettable chemical incident? A group of fishermen set out into the waters of Madagascar in search of something impressive, and the ocean did not disappoint. They managed to catch a true emperor, the deep-sea Napoleon fish, actually a type of oceanic grouper, but this specimen is simply magnificent. Look at the size. A stunningly shining body, a blue protruding mouth, a real work of art. So, the masterpiece of nature was decided to be released back home, and the freed king of the seas splashed back into the blue waves. A gesture worthy of the aristocrats of fishing, don't you think? These guys got into a slippery situation off the coast of Japan. They were holding a creature covered in abundant slime, something that looked like it came out of a horror movie. In fact, it's still the same Napoleon fish, and for it, the slime is crucial for survival. It helps it glide smoothly through the water, protects it from parasites and diseases, and heals wounds. So if you're squeamish by nature, better not fish in the ocean. Look at this fish's face. No, I didn't misspeak. The grimace on its snout really does resemble an ancient Greek theatrical mask. The eyes and mouth seem frozen in a look of horror. Such specimens are found in Thailand, and they're called stargazer fish because they also have star-shaped white spots on their backs. Absolutely amazing creatures that don't often get caught on a hook. A fish was caught in China that looked more like a bird. Its body was typically fish-like, but the head resembled that of a pigeon. While people speculated on what new species this was, puzzled experts determined that it was most likely a mutation of carp due to poor environmental conditions. It's not often you're lucky enough to catch just a big fish, but here's another beauty, a huge body with black and white patterns and many fins. It seems this guy got the most remarkable catch of his life. Later, he found out that he caught a snakehead fish. By the way, it's quite a rare stroke of luck to encounter this species in freshwater areas of Africa and Asia, so remember this story. The forms of marine life never cease to amaze us. Underwater, there are creatures that can strike fear even in experts. And here's just such a case. Every time you cast your net, a fisherman takes part in a lottery. This guy caught a pale creature, a mix of snake and fish. Many viewers of this video suggested that the net had caught an unfortunate hybrid. But perhaps among you, there are erudite people who can name this fish species. I'm personally betting on a pale predatory eel. And you? Sometimes a strange catch makes everyone scratch their heads, and it's important to determine whether the catch is edible or dangerous. In central Russia, a simple worm caught a completely abnormal fish. Even at first glance, it was clear that this was an anomaly. Experts examined the fish and suggested that it could be a mutant eel or a species of piranha. We nodded and agreed. Well, yes, in central Russia. In any case, I wouldn't recommend making soup out of such a monster. On the 21st of February, 2021, fishermen found a strange baby near the coast of Indonesia. They were aiming for sharks, and when they pulled in the net, they found a weird baby among the usual catch. It had almost human-like big eyes, only positioned a bit lower on the face, as if someone had drawn them by hand. It looks like the famous cartoon character Baby Shark has come to life, but in reality, it's not so fun. It's likely we're dealing with another genetic mutation. This saber-toothed fish looks like a living nightmare. One glance is enough to make you exclaim, "Oh hell!" And you wouldn't be wrong. This is indeed an anglerfish, and its large head with fangs and demonic eyes frightens everyone around. An enthusiast from Russia filmed it during a deep-sea journey. Such devils live from 200 to 3,000 meters below the surface in the waters of the North and South Atlantic. It's just the underworld of the ocean if such creatures feel at home there. Residents of Tomsk, Russia encountered a water monster known as the wolffish. Even taken out of its natural habitat, this fish remained incredibly ferocious and aggressive. Using its terrifying teeth, it attacked anyone who approached it, and its frightening appearance didn't help the brave guys trying to calm the monster. You wouldn't want to put your hand in its mouth. It could bite it off up to the elbow. If you're heading out on a deep-sea fishing trip, you need to quickly identify what you've caught when the catch comes to you on the line. Sometimes the attraction is risky. At least, you should study the poisonous species found in the area. These guys were doing fine until they caught an interesting fish. What do we have here with a yellowtail? Maybe an eel or a sea bass? Everyone tried to guess until they turned to Google. It turned out that they had one of the most poisonous marine creatures in their hands. A scorpion fish, and a sting from its spines is enough to paralyze a person with just a touch. The spines on its back are full of venom, so it's unclear who caught whom, so don't relax. And remember, even a small poisonous fish should not be handled with bare hands. In popular language, when mentioning someone's greed, people say eats with two mouths. Sometimes nature literally embodies such wonders. Has anyone here ever caught a fish with two mouths? We have two cases. A first monster with an ordinary mouth also had a bottom sucker, and the second version is simply a fish with two mouths. Moreover, the upper mouth seemed normal, able to open and close, but the lower one was constantly open. Clearly something is wrong here, and most likely, the cause of these anomalies could be polluted waters in our rivers. Not only fish can look unusual, the water is full of things you couldn't imagine on purpose. Now we have a set of frog triplets, another unique mutation where conjoined twins became triplets. They have 3 heads and 6 legs on one body, and such a mutation is, of course, extremely rare. But it looks creepy when you realize that the cause of the developmental pathology is most likely human activity in the environment. They were found by experts in 2004 and noted that a mutation with an odd number of heads is much rarer. Since they were born connected in one body, it's now hard for them to decide which direction to move in. Imagine, it's like having 3 cooks in one kitchen. Without any irony, I genuinely feel sorry for the frogs, although perhaps they are happy together. People usually fish fearlessly near Coney Island, but when they caught such a marine creature, many began to wonder, are these waters safe? To get answers about what creature got hooked, they shared the video on TikTok. So what do we have? A strange fish with scales and a body with 3 legs or tentacles like an octopus. Another surprise, the creature turned out to be quite capable of functioning on land. Then is it not quite a fish? We have 2 options again, a terrifying mutant or an entirely unknown hybrid species to science. It's time for open discussion. This photo went viral on the internet. Let's try to figure out what's in it. It seems to be a seal that looks like 2 fused seals. Something similar was seen in 2013. On Orca Island, in the sand dunes, someone found the lifeless body of a marine seal. They called the Animal Control Service, which carefully collected the remains to investigate the cause of death. The result was this: a pregnant female that died in childbirth. Yes, such things happen in animals. The skeletal remains of conjoined twins were found in the womb, so the process went wrong. The incident shocked experts, since it's extremely rare for marine animals to have twins, let alone congenital pathologies. The skeleton of this rare conjoined seal is now displayed at the Burke Museum in the United States. A man on his way to ocean fishing saw a company of giant crabs on the pier. They seemed to be waiting for someone on the stairs. The witness was skeptical about such an installation, deciding that this gathering of giant crabs was someone's artistic joke. But we have no proof, and who would come up with such a prank? One guess is troubling. The crabs were all completely still. Maybe they were just not alive and assembled for an exhibition for some filming? A fisherman in Houston got a problem instead of a catch. When he pulled in the line, he found a snake wrapped around the fish. The snake had no intention of letting go, and the situation seemed at an impasse. The fisherman relinquished his share, and after trying to separate the animals, he released them back into the stream. You probably wouldn't eat fish after a snake either, would you? The fisherman thought he had caught a stingray. The pull was so strong, but it was much worse. It turned out he had snagged an alligator. The hook was stuck, and the reptile continued thrashing about. What to do in such a case? Probably just cut the line and be glad it wasn't a net, or the release would have been much more difficult. Have you ever wondered if there are creatures in the world that we can't even imagine? This is what was caught in Japan. and they call it an alien fish or the devil's favorite fish. Yes, those creepy teeth are enough to scare anyone, but not the Japanese. As you know, they eat all the gifts of the sea, and this creature is no exception, even a well-known culinary delicacy. Moreover, they practically eat it alive. Be honest, would you dare to taste the nightmarish fish? Even if you read hundreds of rave reviews, don't be shy. Let us know. A strange creature was washed ashore in Thailand. This body shocked beachgoers because no one could determine what species of animal it belonged to. First, it wasn't alive, which is already unpleasant. Second, if the creature had been moving, there would have been more fear. Let's figure it out. The head resembles either a human's or a dolphin's, a hand like a frog's, and the body looks like a cocoon. The logical question is, how could such a structure swim without a tail or fins? So many attributed it to a harsh beach prank. Maybe someone played a nasty joke and fabricated the monster. If we dig deeper into who benefits, could this have been an anti-advertising campaign by competing tourist countries? What, does that option seem wild to you? Thank you very much for watching this video. Feel free to like and share it with your friends. Also, now is the perfect time to subscribe to the channel, and if you click the bell, you won't miss the next interesting videos. Thanks again, take care, and be cautious while fishing.